I'm Santa Barbara Baker, and I'm here with my homemade pizza dough, showing you how I bake a thin and crispy pizza on my baking steel. Got my dough tempered. I brought it out for 2 hours. I say at least an hour and a half on this dough. Let it come to room temp, heating up the baking steel. I like to have my oven cranked on full blast, which in this case is 500 degrees. I got the baking steel top rack because we're going to utilize that broiler as it bakes. Get a full preheat in there, at least in an hour. And when I'm about to bake my pizzas, I'll cycle that broiler a couple times just to get that steel extra hot. Let's get this dough stretched out. I'll show you how I build this thin and crispy cheese pizza. And we'll take it for a bake on our baking steel. It's pizza time. I'm here with my homemade pizza dough. I've let this cold ferment for 48 hours. Brought it out of the fridge though to room temperature, letting it just kind of temper to room temp for about 2 hours. I start just by dusting it with a little bit of flour here, making sure it doesn't stick when I pick it up off the little plate I let it temper on. Just sometimes I'll use a little tool to get it started. Always going delicate, not ripping any of those nice little bubbles we have in there. Get rid of my plate here. Now I'm just going to start with this directly on the marble. Here we're working. This is going to be the bottom of the pizza. I always keep track of the top of the bottom. You'll get more leoparding, better coloring when you always have that top side up and keep track of all that. So when I got it out here on the marble, I'm just going to start by dusting it with a little bit of flour. And I just start kind of smoothing it out, getting it into a somewhat round shape. You can always clean up here. You want enough flour to always make sure your pizza does not stick. But you never want too much. Making a big mess, getting on the pizza is no good. How you can start here, I got it pretty round, but you can just kind of tap here, start tapping it out. I like to keep the center mostly intact and start just pushing in here with some pressure, going around, starting to build that crust. We're doing a thin and crispy cheese pizza today, so I'm not looking for a super huge cornichon, like the big puffy crust. We're going for a little thinner style here. You can see as it's starting to stretch out, I'm leaving that center intact because you can never get that part back. If you get super thin in the center, that's a good way to rip your pie. I'm just hitting it with a little more flour here as I'm stretching. I don't really put any flour on the peel as I load. I'm just working that flour in as I'm starting to stretch this pizza, making sure that it doesn't stick. So you can just work almost completely here on your marble or whatever workspace you have, just kind of tapping it, pushing along here, keeping that center mostly intact for most of it. And you'll see it's already starting to open up. But I like to pick the dough up in my hands, and probably just like the easiest way, you can see people slapping it like this, turning a quarter turn each turn. That's a great way. Maybe a little more advanced depending on where you are on your pizza making, but gravity is just probably just the easiest way. And you can just use your knuckles here like this, or you can even just hold on the side. This dough's been tempered though, so you gotta be careful. It's already brought to room temp, so it's gonna stretch a little easier. But this is already looking to me, look how easy that opened up. Really quick, getting it onto the marble before it stretches too much. Always making sure, keeping that workspace clean because we don't want a bunch of flour on the top of our pizza. And now I got this, so I always like to land with what's gonna be the bottom of the pizza on my right hand. So when I slap it down here, I still have the bottom side up, which I'm gonna hit with some more flour here. This is so it doesn't stick on our peel or stick when we're turning it in the oven. Always using just the perfect amount, as I recommend. But if you're just starting out, err maybe on the side of going too big on the flour. Yeah, maybe if you have some excess flour, it might burn a little bit in the oven, but I think that might be better than having a ripped pie or a stuck pie. So proceed with caution, or just go big and just go for it. Whatever you're gonna do, it's pizza. I'm sure you're gonna be stoked. All right, so that's sticking a little bit. I'm just working this off the bottom here. Gonna flip it over, cleaning off my workspace here. Now we got the top side up. Look at that. That's looking pretty nice to me. I see nice little bubbles going on there. I'm gonna clean up my workspace, get this flour off my hand, because we want that flour on the bottom so the pizza doesn't stick. We don't want it on the top. This looks pretty good to me, and like I'm saying with that flour stuff, you always want to just clean that off there. That's looking good to me. Let's build this thing. A simple, thin and crispy cheese pizza. Gonna start with the tomato sauce, the world's best tomato sauce. It's up on santabarbarabaker.com, up on the blog. The best tomatoes rolled up just with some salt. For a thin and crispy pizza, I like to do just a thin little slick of sauce. I might need a little bit more than this, but just about a ladle full will get you there. I don't like a big soupy pie. And you can go in, just kind of go like this, or do circles to get it all out. There's no real correct way, as long as you get the sauce everywhere on your pizza, but always leaving a little bit of crust there. And you just like to kind of even it out, because when you have those uneven spots, that's when we're getting maybe some bubbles popping underneath, which could lead to possibly having a bad time if it sticks. Classic thin and crispy pizza. We're just keep it simple here. Just shake a little bit of oregano on here. The herbs, as we like around the Santa Barbara Baker household. We live an herb-filled lifestyle. The cheese, again, simple, thin and crispy. I feel like aged moss would be super bomb here, but we're just gonna go fresh moss today. That's it. Some Parmigiano in the mix, that'd be dink too. Gonna go pretty big here, but not too big. Just like everything, like that flour. Making sure you just got a nice little even coating of the cheese. Most importantly, that's for so the bottom doesn't start popping up, having those big bubbles. Like, I mean, we want fermentation, the little nice bubbles coming up, but big, huge, like air coming from the underside is not what we want. All right, this is looking pretty good. Get this all loaded up here. I'm just gonna finish it off with a nice little drizz of the olive oil. We're gonna get this loaded up, and this is the pro tip before you load on your baking steel. I actually should have done it a little bit sooner when you start building a pie, as I'm gonna turn that thing on to broil, get that steel extra hot before I load it. We'll load it, watch this thing bake, have a nice pizza time slice. It's pizza time. Loading this pizza up on the baking steel. I got this on the top rack. The broiler is currently on. Just sliding this off gently onto the fully cranked baking steel. Take this thing for a bake. Okay, on the baking steel, my bake I usually do, first minute or so, keep that broiler going, get it super nice and hot. You almost get kind of like a similar look if you're baking in a super hot oven, which is pretty sweet. After about 2 minutes, I like to give the pizza a turn with a little turning peel. I mean, this really just depends on your oven. I feel like my broiler, the back end gets super hot, so I like to do a rotation, making sure we get an evenly baked pizza. Let's take a look in here. Oh, wow, it's looking pretty nice. Going in here, I got my little turning peel from GI Metal. Just going in here, making sure it's freed up, and just like you do outside, you just go up, go in here, turn, pull back, and that will turn your pizza. Always making sure that stays on the steel. It's looking pretty good. Gonna close that up. Maybe go another 30 seconds here, do another turn. I think our pizza should be starting to crisp up nicely. I'm gonna take a look, take it for one more turn, and then turn this broiler off. Oh yeah, look at that. Some nice browning, maybe some little bubbles there, looking really good. All right, at this point, I just go back down to 500 or whatever the max of your oven is to let this finish up. You can turn it if you want. I might do one more turn depending on how it's looking. Finish off the bake here about 2 minutes. It really just depends on your oven. Looking for a nice brown crust all the way around, a brown bottom. Pull this thing out, we'll slice it up, pizza time. We're a little over 5 minutes on the bake. We did a 2-minute broil, then a 3-minute finishing up that pizza, letting it crisp up, fully brown. I'm gonna take a look now. I think it's ready to pull. Oh wow, it's looking like a pretty delicious, thin and crispy cheese pizza, all-time classic. The headies, the cheese, look at that thing. You can just tell picking up that's crispy. Looking pretty fire most of me. It looks pretty headies. Can't wait to slice this thing up. But first, it goes onto the rack, as we always do. You want to let that rest on that rack, because if you're going for a thin and crispy pizza, don't put it right on a plate. It's going to steam soggy bottoms. Not what we're after. Let this thing hang out, 20 seconds a minute. We're going to slice up, meet you at the booth. Give this thing a taste. It's thin and crispy, homemade dough, pizza time. Oh wow, does it smell delicious in here? That oregano just filling up the whole room. I'm always into that. It smells like a pizza joint in here. That's my jam. My homemade pizza dough. It looks like it baked up pretty nice. Baking on the baking steel today, showing you how it's done that way. We got, a nice little, the pizza looks nicely brown, some little spotting there, nice little puffage going on. And that's how I like it with this cheese sauce, the little synthesis going on. Never too much of either, but just enough to keep it from riding up on you. Picking it up, looks pretty good to me. I heard it as I cut it, a nice crunch as I went through. Going for a thin and crispy pizza today. This is looking pretty good to me as I'm picking up. I see here, we're not looking for that big puffy crust, a thinner vibe, but you can see as you touch it here, it's nice. If you feel some air in there, that's what you want. You see this nice area, the dough's fermented. It's looking pretty good to me. Kind of like that New York slice vibes. I'm into it. Let's give this thing a taste. It's looking pretty dang. Oh wow, this pizza tastes so delicious. How could you not love a simple, thin and crispy cheese pizza? It's the backbone of the pizza world, the plain slice. I'm into it. The dough's tasting really nice on 48 hours fermentation. The dough recipe is up on santabarbarabaker.com on the blog. I have a link down below. Please like and subscribe if you like this dough series. Share with your friends. Spread the Santa Barbara Baker word. You can check me out on Instagram. I'm santabarbarabaker.com on there. I love you all. I hope your dreams are filled with pizza and that you keep making pizza, eating pizza, dreaming about that pizza however you like it. That's your pizza dreams. I love you all. May this pizza find you with feelings of hope and love. One love.